Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast, where we discuss all things crypto market. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, meme coins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to discuss the massive win for U.S. stablecoin legislation yesterday. We're going to talk about some juicy crypto ETF inflows, biggest inflows we've seen in weeks, and the latest runners in the altcoin and meme coin markets. I'm joined here by two fellow TokenWorks minters. I'm joined here by special guest Manny. I'm joined here by Kix. Manny, is this your first time on the Daily Bone?
On video, yeah. I think I came on sometime in early 22, a long time ago, when we were talking about XRP back in the days of Quad and Whoppy, dude.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Glad to have you on. Thanks for stopping in. I've been following you. You've been diving deep into new ecosystems. I've seen your video on Sonic. I've seen you on Easy's morning show a good amount. I wanted to get you on for some of your takes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Kix, it's been a week. How you feeling? How you living?
Good, man.
Is that creatine? I mean, you're already looking younger. Look at that. I mean, you can just see just exuding greatness from the pores.
Thank you. No, actually, I went to the PGA Championship this weekend.
Ooh. You were in Charlotte? What'd you think?
Yeah. Oh, I do. I love it. PGA Championship. I went to the 2021 in Kiwa. Phenomenal, experience. It's just so cool. Just like I love. It's probably my favorite kind of sport. People are gonna hate this, especially people that like football and hockey games. Like I love those for the intensity, but there's something really special about the freedom of a golf tournament where you can walk any hole, any location that you want. I found this one spot where I was watching them hit in from hole 14, drive off from hole 15, and a hole 16. I'm watching them with this gnarly approach shot. And I saw Xander Schauffele water the ball, and then his partner landed an inch from the water, takes his shoes off, and tries to put his foot in the water. Is nah, this is not going to work, and just safely chips it out. But this time, compared to 2021, they had free food, water. Yeah, so you just walk into a facility, you walk through this little assembly line. And it's pick one drink. So literally, you can get some Gator Light, and then you can go to get a sandwich, and you get chips. Just phenomenal production. My buddy had 15 grand on Scotty Scheffler to win it all, 170 grand. And yeah, he was when it was getting close, I was am I gonna have to yell in Rahm's backswing to make this guy miss? But I'm still young, a lifelong ban from any significant golf would be pretty miserable. But yeah, it was so much fun. Shout out to American Airlines though for the 3-hour delay on the way there and the 2-hour delay on the way back. Appreciate you guys for that. Hell of an airline. Just absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, it was a great time.
That flow control's been insane, bro. I've been delayed on every flight that I've been on this month. So I'm just no chill.
You want to hear something absurd? 100 years ago, our ancestors were in between millions of people dying in World War I and then millions of people dying in World War II. Fast forward to today, and they're having air traffic control issues, right? And all of these federal employed air traffic controllers, a third of them took government mandated paid sick leave because they were too stressed out. And that has only exasperated the problem because, crazy enough, when you're having a problem with air traffic control and a third of the workforce says they're too stressed out to work, and the other 2/3 have to carry the load without getting paid more money, now you have 4 air traffic controllers instead of 8. It's crazy how the math works out. But hopefully we can fix that all up. Nothing to do with crypto. But anyways, I had a great weekend. It was phenomenal.
That sounds great. Hopefully, I mean, it sounds bad. I mean, it's a self, death spiral situation. People are stressed. Not enough people.
Guess what?
More people
if you're stressed. In fucking war, you don't get to take stress leave unless your leg gets blown off. And then they're okay, we're going to give this guy a little rehab. In emergency situations, maybe people can't do that. Would be my guess. But yeah, made it home in one piece. Got red pilled on Hyperliquid last weekend. Very, very late. I will admit, but excited to play around in that ecosystem. Watching stocks kind of chop up. Watching crypto sit flat. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into all of that and more. We'll do the weather report here in a minute. But first, we're going to let you know this show is brought to you in partnership with Gemini. Gemini, where you can buy, sell, trade, store crypto in the United States. Fully regulated ETFs custody with Gemini. Major financial asset managers custody with Gemini. And now they have something even more exciting. They just announced a limited edition Bitcoin credit card. Orange is the new gold. Coming along with this is a Cybertruck giveaway as well. This card gives you 4% back, up to 4% back in Bitcoin instantly, no waiting. And the Cybertruck giveaway, you're going to be earning points not only through the credit card, but also through trading on Gemini. Every $50 you spend on the credit card, you get one entry into the Cybertruck competition. Every $50 you trade on Gemini, you get one entry as well. Very competitive card, good rates. I think it's like 3% on like dining and drinks. Pio's been using this. He's been raving about this card. He's had the normal Gemini card. He's probably, I can only imagine, going to be getting this orange Bitcoin card and just basically taping that to his forehead, walking around with that constantly. You can sign up now, bodoggos.com/Gemini. Get yourself a little bit cash back for signing up. Super excited to partner with Gemini. We love them. Safe exchange. When you see all these other exchanges having issues, we do our business with Gemini, and we're very excited to continue our partnership with such a leader in the crypto space. That being said, whenever you're ready, Kicks, let's kick it off with the weather report.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Down with that. What day is today?
Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday, May 20th. The majors are up on the day. Bitcoin just under 105. Ethereum hanging out at 2,500. Solana sitting at 165. We got some big news coming out over the past 24 hours. The Senate voted to move forward with the Genius stablecoin bill. Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire commenting that this bill is a huge step forward in advancing dollar digital currency. Rumors circulated yesterday of a bidding war upwards of $10 billion between Coinbase and Ripple for the acquisition of Circle. Next up, President Trump is optimistic about a Ukraine-Russia ceasefire after a 2-hour-long conversation with his boss, Vladimir Putin, yesterday. He stated that negotiations will begin immediately and that Russia is in a large-scale trade deal with the U.S. After hostilities are resolved, we'll start buying a lot of vodka. Finally, it was a massive day for crypto inflow as Bitcoin ETFs saw $667 million of daily net inflows, the largest net inflow since a month ago. Ethereum ETFs recorded their second straight day in the green, little tiny Tim getting 13 million of net inflows. That's it for the weather report. Let's kick it back to Ray in the studio.
Excellent weather report as always, Kicks. Lots to unpack there. We've got the Genius bill. I like the naming on this. It's almost like how you voted against the Genius bill. Are you an idiot? All the geniuses voted for it. Like what a great idea. I'm curious, Manny. I want to get your thoughts. I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the Stablecoin Act or like what you think this could potentially unlock. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on what's going on here.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing when I think about global macro and the bond interest rate going so high, you need a demand vector, right? Because like global nations aren't buying our bonds, but now if you mandate these stablecoin companies to have a certain percent allocation, as long as it doesn't kind of impact profitability to them, I think it's a great thing for just like the American people as a whole. So to me, I think that's pretty cool. I think the other thing that you have to think about as well is just the $7 trillion in the in-between, right? When you have tokenized stocks coming in, and just that fee suppression, because that's what BlackRock's trying to do, right? They know that there's like $7 trillion a year in like fees that people pay, right, to third-party middlemen. So it's like a ton of money that you can get. And I'm probably off on 7 trillion. I think it's like 700 billion. But there's a lot of fee capture that can happen, and you need something that is like stable, right? Something that you can like back it 1-to-1 and things settle in cash. So I think it's pretty interesting, and I think it's something that we need. But they're probably going to do something around the on and off ramps, just to kind of control the anti-money laundering, KYC, and all the stuff that no one likes in crypto. But dude, too bad, bro. This is the future of France. So here we are.
Interesting. Kicks, any other thoughts? We've talked about this a number of times on the show. I mean, it failed last week. Some Democrats flipped back to vote for it. So essentially what's happening is it's going back to like the debate, and then it'll have another vote on it to pass. Any other thoughts that we can talk about here? I'm actually looking at like an interesting thread here between Stats and Tyler D, who's in the audience, talking about like, does this matter or not? Stats basically saying, hey, this just really doesn't matter. Doesn't care if stablecoin supply goes up. If it ramps into stuff he cares about, view that it doesn't matter is wrong. Not convinced we'll see sustained acceleration in stablecoin usage, at least relative to overall crypto growth. So basically, is this exciting to you, Kicks, or is it not exciting?
I'm not incredibly informed on this topic. I do know Nick Carter said something interesting where he was surprised that the Democrats weren't supportive of it, because essentially this is regulation instead of deregulation, right? So it's you know, it's making it so it's like more easy for let's say banks to do stable coins than it is for stuff maybe like MakerDAO to make more decentralized stable coins. I do think what Manny said seemed very smart to me, which is if you're getting this framework set that's going to make dollars the kind of currency that's backing all of these stable coins, and being the first country to really push forward with this, and considering we're a massive financial capital, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I also think that getting stable coins going up, in the usage of stable coins going up, will spill over into other things and will create other possibilities on chain. So I think it's net good, and I think it's a validation of crypto, right? If you see banks launching stable coins and putting lots of money on chain, it's a validation of blockchains in general, and I would think it would be probably a net positive.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there.
Yeah, but it's more like, you know, people in suits doing stuff in crypto, which I think is also a natural progression of anything in life, right? Like everyone's like, oh no, here, like the suits are coming. Well, that's kind of a sign that, you know, it's legitimate.
Yeah. Speaking of suits, we got Jeremy Allaire here in a nice pressed dress shirt, getting excited to sell his company for $10 billion. That's a pretty wild number. Do you think they're going to get 10 billion from Coinbase or Ripple?
They'll get like 12 or 11.
Wow. That's wild. It's crazy because they were like really getting set to IPO. It looked like they were basically racing to IPO like a month ago, and then they just basically stalled. They were targeting a $5 billion IPO, and then basically they said, okay, hold on, we're not going to do this. So I have to think they're like in pretty advanced talks to get this sold. So I'm curious to see what this is going to go for. 10 billion. It's a pretty penny.
There aren't a whole lot of comps, right? So they can kind of just make up the value whatever they want. As far as like stable coins, right? There isn't like you have USDT as your only other competitor, right? Like, or like your PayPal is starting to get some traction on their stable coin. And I'm trying to think what other ones were out there. But I don't know, they have like a lot of the rails already kind of preset to kind of disposition that, but I don't know. I think that they just have a ton of upside.
Yeah, I think I agree. And their stable coins are getting set to be one of the leading like industries in crypto, if not like the number one. They earn a ton of fees, widely used. I'm trying to pull up the revenue numbers on just like protocol fees, because I know like Tether and Circle generate like a ton of money on just protocols, or sorry, on just fees. But DeFi Llama is not cooperating with me this morning. Yeah, so that's interesting. One to follow on the stablecoin side. We saw massive ETF inflows as well yesterday, both on the Bitcoin and Ethereum side, biggest since April 28th. And this comes as BlackRock basically reports on a day delay basis. So I'm really curious to see what today's inflow numbers are going to be. Looking at the other companies that posted, you had Arkham post 155 million, which is a very significant number for them. That might be the most in like multiple months. Fidelity's FBTC also posted 188 million, the most in a few weeks, probably the most in a few months. So I'm curious to see what IBIT posted from yesterday, because they're on a delayed basis versus some of these other ones. We could see a huge number come in here tomorrow in terms of inflows. Have you been following crypto inflows at all, Manny? And like, what's your take on like using these as any sort of indicator for like kind of where we are in terms of cycle?
So for me, I just think about all of the people who have money and what they're doing right now, and they're all just kind of prepping for holidays and setting the algos just to kind of hold a range on whatever they're doing. So I think we'll probably see these inflows just kind of stay kind of stagnant until like the end of August, and then that's when I have like on my chart that will get the massive rip. Like everyone's like sell in May, go away. That everybody's been pushing this narrative, sell in May or don't sell in May. And I just think that it's one of those times that people just want to make money or go on vacation and just kind of hang out. So I think on-chain activity will be kind of high, but as far as like major movements, I have everything kind of set for the end of August is when we'll see kind of everything on that side of the house. But just one more point on the circle thing, right? Like global remittances, they did about 880 billion of volume, and on a global remittance, like you pay 4.3%. So you're looking at like a market capture of like $37 billion of revenue that you can generate year over year. And even if you just got 10% of that, that's still like $4 billion. So that's why I think the premium on Circle will go higher.
Yeah, I'm looking at DeFi Llama right here. 1.7 bill in yearly fees, 6 bill on Tether in yearly fees. In the last month, 192 million on Circle, 570 on Tether. I don't know what they're pulling in for this data, but out of all protocols, you're seeing basically stablecoins lead the way. So that's why I'm looking at this as being pretty major news in terms of crypto adoption that not many people are like talking about following. And also interesting to see like what these end up selling for or IPOing at. Circle is going to be an interesting case study, and then we'll see like what happens with the crypto VC market after that one goes live. I could see things getting pretty nutty again in terms of funding. Man, you talked about people setting ranges. Sell in May, go away. What ranges are you looking at on the majors? I know we've had Kixes take a decent amount here. Bitcoin right now just under 105K, flirting with all-time highs at 107. What's your outlook on Bitcoin over the summer? What do you think? We're just range bound within a certain range? What are you targeting here?
Yeah, I think we're range bound between like 112 and 88K. Like 88K is like the absolute bottom. I don't think we get it, maybe 93. And I think we'll just kind of hang out there and then end of August make the push to 125 to 135. Some people have some 155 targets, but that's like Pico froth euphoria of just kind of craziness. I don't think we get that until 2026, where they kind of have to pump the markets into the midterms to really just kind of make sure that everything is okay. That's kind of my like logic on that side of the house, is that we're just kind of like 26 will be rough, is just kind of my thoughts until we get the midterms.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, then as soon as midterms hit, you're just going to have the next election cycle looming as well. And just to see what's happening. Yeah, we talked yesterday a good amount, Signal and I, about like what we're looking at over summer. We're going to see this kind of consolidation. We talked about last summer, essentially seeing like this Bitcoin consolidation from basically March all the way to November. If you remember that period, that was a period where there wasn't much going on. The sideways chop was kind of causing some like panic or just negative
boredom
on the timeline until we got that absolute rip. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this setup kind of looks similar, and we saw the rip early with the ETF approval, and then we're seeing this rip now coming off a double test on like 74K. The question is, do we consolidate here, higher, lower, for the next leg up? Anything to add on charting here, Kix, before we jump into something else, or are you pretty much good?
Yeah, I mean, I think the tricky spot here is the clear long was when everything broke down super hard. The technicals just looked really oversold. So those were great opportunities to long. And now you have Bitcoin sort of at the top of its range on the monthly. You have ETH with more room on the range on its monthly. And then you have Bitcoin actually staying sitting right below the moving average on the monthly. So Ethereum's the only one that hasn't broken through the like monthly moving average, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think right here you're just in the risk return isn't as sexy as it was, a month ago. That doesn't mean you should be bearish. It just means that, that those were a lot of the clear opportunities. Like, you have Tesla up 50% from the lows a month and a half ago. So you're buying a lot of these things at much higher premiums. You're not getting that screaming deal that you had. We still have some trade war stuff overhanging. And I think we still have very high interest rates in the United States that's really going to start slowing things down, like housing, et cetera, et cetera. I really have no clue how summer's going to play out. I do know that generally Q4 is really good, especially for crypto. So I would be a lot more excited about opportunities in September and October than like really trying to push a massive bull case right here that you're going to get just a crazy good return in the summer. So
yeah, I think my only thing to add on that, Kicks, is if you go back to the yearly or the monthly on ETH, how that had that one like God candle on there, you're gonna expect a downside retest on that.
yeah,
Is just kind of my thoughts. Is like, see how you have that candle, you'll have a red one that matches, and then you'll run it back up to the midpoint, and then you'll go over to the extension on the left next. It'll be like a 1, 2, 3 up.
Yeah.
That's
with like such a big
thoughts.
move up, it needs like a little cool off period. Because it's interesting. It's sitting basically right below the moving average on the monthly, and on the weekly, it's sitting right on top of it, with like the potential to go up to like 3,200. So I still like my ETH long, and I'm happy to hold it.
Yeah, I just think we need just a quick downside retest, and then it'll run, like really run. There's too many people, made too much money on ETH for it not to go up.
Not to go down?
No, for it, like it'll go up. Like it has to go up. Like there's too many people holding bags of it, is my thing, and they're not going to sell here, right? Like they're going to sell, they'll like just hold it and then either sell at their break even and then watch it get ran up to like 5 to 8K, and then they'll all be pissed.
I would love that. I would love that scenario to play out. That'd make me happy.
I feel like you're the seller there, Kicks. You've been notoriously pretty good at marking like local tops on ETH with sells. I don't take you as like one of those ETH holders who's just like a diehard bag hold forever type deal.
I mean, dude, Kicks called it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna sell my stuff after something flips Pepe, and then Fartcoin flip Pepe, and that was the time to sell. Like Kicks doesn't miss, bro.
Except when I fade my own calls, that's the shitty part. I need to never do that again.
You just got a lot going on, man. You know what I'm saying? You forget.
Well, euphoria is a hell of a drug. Euphoria is a hell of a drug.
You got too many moments of genius just firing at all cylinders, bro, that you just forget all of those knowledge nuggets you left behind.
You've reminded me on the timeline too. That's the funniest part. You're like, hey, dude, your signal just hit.
Yeah, so I think you could see a period of chop, and then during that, Kex, I know you've always talked about this, like other interesting things that you're looking for. Like there's going to be a next big thing. There's going to be new things. There's going to be opportunities to jump into. You highlighted one of those opportunities last week. I haven't got a chance to talk to you about it. We talked a little bit on the show yesterday with Signal about it, but the TokenWorks mint. minted out. Some are pointing at you as being the main reason why this got spread on the timeline and completely minted out after having a slow initial start. What are your thoughts on this? Like, what were you looking for? Recap your thesis on the TokenWorks project, what it is, and what you're like kind of looking at here.
Yeah, well, first of all, I like Adam a lot. I think he's a very successful person in this space. And he's been very good at both building things and getting into things quite early. We actually worked at Crypto Raiders together way back in the day. Then he went off and built Vulcan, which was like a Discord auth tool that was really big during the Nifty era. I forget the competitor to Vulcan. There was another one out there, the Collab or maybe
Collab.
Yeah, that was a big competitor. So he did that. Big Xcopy bull. He did very well off of Xcopy, and then has been he was big on Botto early. He was big on FriendPet very early. And recently he's been doing lots of interesting experiments, projects when it comes to building. He made the shape or circle Memecoin that was on one of those L2s. He did a really interesting idea where he made a Uniswap V4 hook that when people trade via that hook pair on any coin, the fees go to Bitcoin. Like, so you're stacking Bitcoin essentially by trading different tokens. With the launch coin meta that really blew up, right? It started to make me think. I was like, all of these different things that we've seen over the last year or two or this cycle, at least the most popular things, have been launch pads in essentially ways to fund ideas, right? Or fund crypto projects. So of course we have, Pump.fund, which really blew up. That's more meme coin centric, but in November it saw the kind of internet capital markets funding AI plays via Pump Fund, right? We saw virtuals do the same thing, right? And then we see Believe come out, and Believe tries to take a different approach, which is basically, well, why don't the creators of these projects or the things we're trying to fund, why don't they make money off of the fees, right? Instead of essentially having to monetize by like selling the token against people that are, buying the token. So all of those things were very interesting to me. But they all kind of work off of the vein of a meme coin style kind of token being the funding vehicle, right? And I just thought this was this was a super interesting take that was a different, completely different approach on how to fund interesting ideas, especially interesting ideas early on when maybe they're in the idea or the prototype phase, right? And they're not a fully fleshed out product. And essentially how it works is right now it's permission, but eventually if it sees enough success, it'll be open, and creators, projects, devs, whatever you want to call them, could launch on FundingWorks, and essentially the ETH that you use to buy this soulbound NFT gets locked in a vesting contract. And it's over a period of time that the person the creator sets. And it can be anywhere from like 30 days to a year. Right now in V1, it's also like there's not a lot of optionality. So like you couldn't put a cliff in, right? You can't set the amount you get up front. So like right now you get 7% up front, and then the rest is vested out over the period of time, which I think is just a really interesting concept. Some people don't like it because they're like, I want to be able to trade the soulbound NFT, right? And I use Proof as an example of this, right? So anyone that minted the Proof pass did incredibly well, right? But then imagine the person that bought the Proof pass for 100 ETH, right? After the Moonbird launch or whatever. They got completely wrecked, right? And there's no way for the creator, Kevin Rose, to deliver the same value or the same experience to the person that bought at 1 ETH than the person that bought on secondary at 100 ETH, right? And this is not to say that this should remove the speculation layer entirely, right? Rather, instead, it's like, hey, if I see something that I like, I can buy the soulbound NFT. My downside risk is protected, meaning that if this person just disappears, this person quits, I don't like this person's execution style, I can get my money back, right? And if the idea does work well, what you would assume was that this would, or what you would assume is that this will act like a proof style NFT, meaning that you're going to get whitelists, right? Or you'll get airdrops, or you'll get free mints, or if the project decides to do a TGE, you're going to get token allocation. And I think that the era that crypto is very speculative in general. And I would say that the last year has been more speculative and like very cutthroat than ever. And I just like that this is something that's like a different approach, where it's like, you know, if you see a project that's really cool and it's in the prototype phase, and you think that there's upside or interesting potential and you want to fund this idea, you can fund it. You could see value out of it. You protect your downside a little bit. And it's not the same thing of, okay, we're trying to pump this meme coin related to this AI project so that then I can dump it on, you know, other people at the top and then move on and never care about it again. Yeah, so I think it's cool. I don't think it's guaranteed to be a success. I don't think that it's guaranteed to take off. I like Adam a lot. I think him with this and getting funded via this is going to open him up to work on really creative ideas, and maybe creative ideas that take a couple of months to execute. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out, but I'm also just excited in general to see builders and creators in this space trying different things and you know, trying to create new innovation in the space. So
Comment from 84 Selby: how is TokenWorks going to beat out Believe? I don't think they're even in the same ballpark. I don't think they're I don't think the Venn diagram of people who want to launch on TokenWorks versus Believe is very large. I think the TokenWorks people are essentially like almost like instant cash, or sorry, the Believe people are almost like instant cash, volume driven, like motivation. Like it's a completely different business model. I think people are going to be more cash grabby, and that's just the openness of Believe right now is going to invite more scams and rugs. I'm very interested to see how he curates additional projects coming into Funding Works.
Yeah.
I think that's key for early stage like success on this protocol. Like which projects are interested in funding via TokenWorks. I mean, because it is very new, so like it's going to take a little bit like to find good projects looking for funding. But I'm kind of looking at this as almost like a decentralized echo of essentially what Kobe had, or has over there, you know, where he's taking small ticket, long tail VC money from essentially retail.
And the difference here is that, like, if you put your money in those kind of things, like TGE could get delayed. It could never happen, right? And those may be on longer timelines. Like, just a example off the cuff, let's say someone in Bodagos was like, I have a really cool idea for a crypto product, and it's going to take me a couple of months to build it, but I only want to build it if there's enough people interested in this idea at the idea phase, right? And they could launch a Funding Works, and they could raise some money. And then those people that put money in could say, okay, I'm going to see what this person does in 3 months, right? And if they do something great in 3 months and it's looking great, they'll keep their money in, right? But if this person then just disappears, you get 90% plus of your money back. So it's a different funding approach. It's less speculative out of the gate. It's not going to have Believe style mania. But yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. And at the very least, the Funding Works NFT that we minted is basically a bet on Adam and what he can do over the next year. And I'm sure there'll be some fun things to come out.
Yeah, I think this is pretty interesting. I minted this, Kix minted this. You mint this as well, Manny? I think I saw you in the
yeah, I did. Yeah, I took a flyer on it. I was like, yeah, I'd probably torch this buying dumb stuff. So I took a flyer on it. I was like, you know what? I'll see what this guy can do. And if you find something great, man, and I mean, think about being in on the floor of something pretty awesome, and you just like timed it right. So I don't know. The universe always kind of has my back on shit like that. So I'm hoping one cook comes out of there that just kind of sends us. So it only takes one, and I think they'll be able to do it. Just the network of people, right? Like think about all the art collectors from Xcopy. Like how much money did they make? Like, and then their continued follow-on success is the biggest thing for me on that like upward spiral of momentum that these people have. So that's just like an asymmetric bet on winners winning.
Yeah, definitely a good network there. We'll be following along. We'll probably be highlighting some of the more interesting launches there. I know a good amount of our listeners and followers of Kicks have jumped in. I've seen a good amount of Bodogos. So happy to see us all into a project that's funding true builders in this space. Always love to spend time highlighting that sort of thing here. And it feels good because it's not like, hey, you're pumping your own bags. I can't sell this. Like I have this soul bound. So it's like a nice thing to kind of talk about. Moving on though. I have an interesting question for you guys. I don't know the answer to this question, but I've seen KTA absolutely ripping over the last week. Up another what are we up today? 13%, 313 million, almost a $1 billion FDV on this. KTA, Keeta, it's like a blockchain. Like, what is this? Do you have any idea what this is?
I missed it completely. Like, I had no idea what it was, but I saw somebody had gotten in at like 10, and they've just been buying the entire way up. So I think they stopped buying around 800 million, but it's one of those things that I missed it, and I'm okay with missing it. So if there's like a big retrace and I figure out what it is, then maybe I'll get in. But right now, it's gone.
Have you heard of Keeta, Kicks?
I heard about it today. I think when things like this happen, I think that I need to improve my informational flow. It'd been awesome to hear about this at 50 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Or not even at 50 million, I guess at 50 million tokens, or what this chart looks weird. But I would have loved to see it. I would love to seen it, at 90% cheaper or wherever it was at before. But say la vie.
There's like an altcoin Memecoin account I follow, and I just never play this guy correctly. For calls, overdose _AI. He just essentially just like prints all the time, and I never correctly follow. I buy stuff. I'm using shared conviction because I'm just following his plays. I sell it too early, and then it just like rips. This is one he's been talking about for a while, as well on KTA. And I just kind of saw it and just like backburnered it, never touched it. But he's one that you can follow to see some of these plays early. Again, I don't do well following him because I'm always trading on borrowed conviction, and I'm like, okay, well, this one didn't work out. But he's had a pretty good hit rate, and I think it's an account people don't really talk about too much.
This is where AI would be great for you, because like what you could say is you could put 10K into the AI's wallet and say, just spray 2% at every ticker this person shares. And that way you remove all of your emotional bias.
Yeah, I mean, but look at this ticker list. Like, no one talks about these. I haven't really seen them, and they've all kind of like performed. Myro, Kendex, Brett, Benji, Maga, Pepe, Mumu, Nero, Hippo, GME, Neural, Lo-Fi.
Yeah, so there's two things. This guy's either the absolute best caller of all time, or this person calls every single ticker out there. Therefore, you will 100% have an amazing win rate list. I don't follow them, so I'm not sure which one.
I think he's well over 50% with some big hitters. There's Telegram as well, but just something to note. I can't for the life of me follow them and do well. But like has done a number of big hitters, including this one on Keeta.
Discourse said literally made 100K off of his calls. So it looks like Discourse is trading it right.
Yeah.
Tom said, I shared it in this chat 2 weeks ago. I should have typed in all caps because you faded me.
Thanks, Tom. And shout out to Cliff Smith. Yeah, it was Trump, not Fartcoin, that flipped Pepe.
Scam ticker. Yeah, it does look like a scam ticker list, but he's just hit on a number of these scam tickers. So maybe there's something there. So Keeta, it's calling itself the most scalable blockchain in the world, capable of 10 million TPS, 400 millisecond settlement time, designed to connect world's financial systems. Be interesting to watch and dive deeper on. I saw the price action that caught my eye. Caught my eye yesterday after just a huge rip.
I mean, I think the coolest thing is the fact that this launched at such a low price. Usually it's pretty rare that a new blockchain hits the open markets and isn't TGing at like billions of dollars FDV. So I think that alone is pretty cool. That there was just an opportunity that big on the market.
Yeah, I mean,
Discourse says it's the new Solana, so it's an easy play for the next 18 months.
I'm looking at their, so March 5th is when they launched their token. They said out of stealth, finally in the open, blah blah blah. So essentially they've been claiming, they've been like, the information's been out there of what this was since March 10th, and they launched. It's a blockchain. Their goal is 10 million TPS, 400 millisecond settlement time from March 5th. So like it wasn't like hiding, and there was information that
I think the thing is that there's so much information in this space, and the number one way to win at this space is to be able to filter information, whether it's yourself or through other people out there that are very good, and just get as many good opportunities as possible on your desk. And you're not going to hit them all, and chasing generally doesn't work out well. I was listening to Druckenmiller. He was having a speech somewhere, and he basically said that he likes to put all of his eggs in one basket and look at the one basket very carefully, right? Instead of, spreading it across. And he said that he knows a lot of people out there, and they'll basically have 30 ideas a year, and 3 of those ideas, so 10% of their ideas generate, almost all of their returns, right? Those ones worked out really well. And he says what he tries to do is just narrow down to those top 3 ideas and put a bunch of size behind them. Easier said than done. But I do believe that a lot of people in this space chop themselves emotionally and just, time spent chasing a lot of things that they have little to no conviction in, just to feel like they're doing something, when in reality, if you just wait for the big trades and try to make a lot of money off of them, it's probably way easier to win like that. Because I've done it before too. Like if you chop yourself, emotion and your mentality is very big in this game. And if you take some losses, make some bad plays, when that really good one comes by, you don't have the confidence in yourself to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I'm feeling you. I feel like it's almost like I hit a win, and then I get a little bit more like emboldened to make new plays. And I think after like hitting conviction wins, you really need to stop. Like people tell you like to step away, and like I think that's very important to do. Like stop clicking buttons for a little bit after a conviction win.
Like if you put 10K into Believe, right, and ran it up to 100K, the smartest thing to do would probably just take profits, hold the rest in Believe, and just not do anything. And instead, what probably a lot of people do is they pulled out 50K and they're trying to chase a bunch of shit on Believe to stack it up, and they end up losing money or breaking even or whatever, right? I learned that a lot in the AI run in November and December, which is like the chasing plays suck, right? And a lot of people, they're the worst. And a lot of people do it because they miss the good one, right? So like whenever you hear someone like, this is the beta play to that, like run away, right? Because it means they missed the alpha play, right? And they're trying to chase down the curve. And I've done that personally too, and it doesn't work out great.
Yeah, just kind of the one thing that I found in life is like it's all kind of a pendulum. So when you hit that high, you're going to come back down to a low. So just like getting in alignment with that movement, and then just kind of figuring out like, oh shit, I hit this. I need to relax and not do shit, and then wait for the pendulum to come back so then I can ride the momentum back up.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Yeah.
That's been like a harder lesson to learn. You know what I'm saying? You got to get burned to learn and lose a fuck ton of money to kind of figure that out, which hasn't been 100%. Fun, but I think I'm in alignment now.
Yeah, I'm in alignment. Like I imagine kind of when you say that the Pudgy Penguins that I own is going to swing back up to 100K again, and this time I'll sell them.
This time will be different, kids. This
Yeah, and
time
if you
it's
ever
different.
tell a normie in real life and you're like, dinner's on me because I just made a lot of money on Trump and the Pudgy token, and by the way, my profile pics were 60 grand, and then you had that thought in the back of your head, like, I should go upstairs to the hotel room, pull out the ledger, and floor this shit, you should do it. Because then 3 weeks later, the Pudgy penguin's worth 20K, and you're like,
Doesn't have the same shine at 20K that it does at 60K.
yeah. PFPs are tough, man. They're tough. I was way more cutthroat back in 2021. 2022, I started getting too attached to these things. But dude, talk about, I mean, in 2023, Pudgy's was I bought it for $5,000. So like even right now, if I sold it for 25 grand, that alone is a 5X. I should be happy with that. And I got like a 50K stimmy. I got 10K worth of dim. I have like nothing but thankfulness to that community, that ecosystem, that team. Yeah. Dinner's on me is the IRL P&L screenshot. So fucking true, dude.
I mean, and it's also kind of about perspective too, right? Like that's a teacher's salary that you got by just kind of holding a picture of a penguin. So 100%. I feel like we lose that pretty often in this space
all the time,
where you're like, oh, 100K is not a lot of money. And then you're like, wait a minute. It kind of is to like everyone outside of this bubble. But I think keeping that grounded perspective is super important.
100%. Like I truly think that the best thing that you could ever do in crypto, if you started with like 50 grand, is if you ran that thing up to 7 figures, pull the entire thing out, pay your taxes, go put some of that in the stock market, and then just like never think about crypto for the rest of your life. And you'll ride off into the sunset, and you'll probably be the happiest person in the world, dude. You don't want to end up like these people that run up to 5 million. They say it's not enough. Then they run it down to 3, and they're like, they're more depressed at 3 million than they were at 500K. You know what I mean? And they say they're living in, 7-figure hell.
We had a good post that's talking about this topic from ICO Beast. Released a poll. If you started in crypto with 25K, what portfolio value would be enough for you to walk away and feel like you've won forever with no regrets, even if the market kept ripping? And the options were 100K, 1 million, 3 million, and 5 million. The lowest amount here was 100K. Only 10% of people said 100K makes them happy, essentially. 1 million was the high point at 40.7. 3 million sold 20%, and then 5 million came in second at 28.5%. People who require 5 million to walk away with no regret is like super interesting to me in this space. Like it makes me wonder like the net worth of individuals who are in here, or just like the absolute absurd expectations of what realistic returns are. But I thought this was like an interesting thought experiment for like seeing how crypto Twitter would react to different portfolio value.
We need people like that, right? Like people have to hold so we can sell on them. So I'm very thankful that the 5 million number is where it is, because I'm just like, my God, they haven't figured it out yet.
So fucking true, dude. That is so true, man. Yeah, you need diamond handers to sell into. Bored Apes would have gone to $500,000 or whatever if there weren't people that thought they were going to go to $2 million a piece. And yeah, I think first of all, everybody's situation is different, right? But I do think a lot of the people like answering these things, right? Like 5 million is like you want to quote unquote like retire and not have a job or whatever. And for me, like that's just not something like I get passion in working and building and doing things. So I would never want to like just take a bunch of money and retire and play video games all day. I'll do that at 60, dude. I'll lead a World of Warcraft guild at 60. It'll be a blast. But
dude, let's go, bro.
Right?
We're back. We're back, dude.
Workshop names for that one.
Yeah, exactly. But like here's the thing: if you have like a good job or a good career that you like and you're growing in it, I don't think enough people appreciate how much like of a just advantage you get on your life if you could pull out even just like $1 million. I think the problem with a lot of people, especially in the United States, is it doesn't seem like a lot because you have like a decent starter house in a nice area is like 700K. So they're thinking, oh, that's barely going to get me, a house. But.
I mean, the thing is, if you put $1 million away and you're earning 5% annually on $1 million, you've basically just like conjured out of thin air a $50,000 salary. On top of whatever you're doing. That's going to pay housing. That's going to pay like a number of expenses.
Bro, that's childcare, dude. Imagine not having to pay for that.
Yep, exactly.
Massive,
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
That shit's fucking expensive, dude. And then God forbid you want to send your kids to private school so that, you know, they're not next to someone in class that goes and pees in the kitty litter box because they say they're a cat. You know what I mean? Now you're talking about
our private schools are cheaper than my daycare is around me. My daycare is so expensive. Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, maybe I can hurry up so I can send you to private school.
Yeah. Seriously though, it is more expensive. It's wild, especially if you're in a growing metropolitan area. There's not good supply demand. It's tough. Usually what would happen is the grandparents would be retired by now. They'd be your babysitter. But unfortunately in this world, a lot of grandparents, you know, they still got to work. You know, they got shit going on. They're trying to take care of themselves.
Yep, absolutely. I thought this was a fun little one to touch on while we were talking about that. Did you guys see the Housecoin drama spawned by our very own Clemente and Nick?
Oh gosh, I'm not surprised. You put those two guys together and they're just going to piss off a lot of people.
Dude, it's like they're doused in kerosene and they're flicking matches, dude. I love it.
Take a look at this one here. I'm going to play it real quick.
What's going on? We're here in London. We are investigating some controversy in the meme coin market with Lexapro Trader allegedly bundling several meme coins and dumping on his followers. And other people are saying that Bonk guy is washed because he's promoting random meme coins and promoting them in a very long and paragraphy way. Nick, what do you think is going on here? Do you think the SEC might be coming for Lexapro Trader?
No, because the SEC doesn't care about anything in the crypto space at this point. You can just commit crimes and you're good to go, at least under the current political regime.
Well, that's it from London for now. We'll be back to you soon.
I'm sure Lexapro took that very well.
Oh yeah, dude. There was like some long-winded like heat thread about how he supported them and he can't believe that they turned on them. I'm like, brother, it's clearly satire. And then second, the other thing too is there's no such thing as bad press, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody who thinks like you're a scammer now, like you're going to get like 10 or 20 people who just kind of start following you just because they think you're not.
Yeah.
Lexapro was pissed. Housecoin, though, however, liked it. up 24% on the day after falling. I think Lexapro might have been a little triggered after price go down. But yeah, just also
saying someone like bundles meme coins is like pretty much calling them like a pedophile. You know what I mean? Like that's like the equivalent in the space. So yeah, I get why he's mad. If you knew Clemente better, you'd know that he was probably joking around. I can see why he got a little mad. And also, I have empathy for Lexapro because I think no matter what you do in this space, if you have any sort of persona, somebody has the capacity to make you out to be a villain. And they'll just paint stories in your head. So you could lose money on something and they'll still blame you, right? You could build something great, but they bought the Pico top and they can blame you, right? And that's regardless if you're a trader, if you're a builder, if you're anything. Like the internet kind of like sucks in that sense, right? It's just that there's just open access to literally anybody to treat you poorly. And I think that is why, if you see in this space, it almost does is it almost allows people with like dark triad traits to rise to the top because they're the only ones that can just not give a fuck about people talking shit about them. It doesn't affect them at all because they're a psychopath. So then it's like, cool, now you have a bunch of psychopaths running the arena because everybody with a conscience or like a soul, you've beat them down so much that they don't want to do things anymore. So I do think more positivity in this space is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And then the secondary question here is Housecoin a buy here? Are we hitting?
Yeah, bro. That's a clear M harmonic. All you have to do is wait for the 1-2 up, and then it'll fucking retest the all-time high.
All right, so
Kinda
you would
like
be a
that.
buyer here of Housecoin.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get some after this. And then I'm picking sides. You know what I'm saying? I'm picking
Yeah.
Lexapro's team, dude.
Yeah, and the fact that like Clemente, I feel like whenever Clemente talks shit about something, it can be a good bottom ticker.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the play here. AI, please long Housecoin here. Set auto sell at 80 million, $5,000. Thank you.
So some new information here. He also just bought some Housecoin.
Oh, jeez, that's not good.
Damn it. That's the non-dark triad kicking in on him, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Oh man.
If it
Yeah.
wasn't
No.
bad enough, he goes in and buys Housecoin. Is like the ultimate like kicking the nuts if you're like a Clemente inverse believer. Lexapro's like, now he's fucking bought it. What the fuck? Like I'm just pissing off more.
Nick came in and was like talking shit on some meme coins a couple of weeks ago, and he like randomly threw Mog in on it, and then Mog literally did an 80% run like as soon as he talked shit on it. There's something to that for sure, and I've always liked Mog. I just thought it was a cool coin. Also, I don't know if you've guys seen, but like they have that Mog ACC bot on Twitter. I thought that was really novel and cool in terms of marketing. So I think that helped it pump as well. But
yeah, Nick was talking about buying Mog, like on the show, like the day after all that drama. He was like, maybe Mog is a buy here, and I don't think he pulled the trigger. So like that's the ultimate karma for throwing that in. One more ticker I want to look at and get your take on here. This one's been kind of a mover lately. Basis for everyone. That meme coin launched by basically Coinbase and tweeted out during that whole debacle with coining everything when they then launched a second ticker and it nuked it. I mean, this one on the daily has had a couple like big candles. We saw a wick on May 13th from 8.7 all the way to almost 16 mil.
And if you got in that bottom last couple days, like what were you looking at?
Right here or right here?
Yeah,
down
there,
here.
like that too.
Oh,
Yeah.
like 1.4 mil. You're getting
there's something about things that like capture Twitter social consensus or whatever. Just putting that thing on like a watch list and just waiting for it to pull back brutally and just throwing some money in, right? If you did it on this, it was great. If you did it on the Pasternak coin, that's at $250 million. There was a long period of time where you could have gotten at 300K. You could have bought 1% supply for $3,000 before they rebranded it, right? So hopefully this ticker will show it. But there was like a period of time where you could just have bought that. Big coin over on Abstract, right? Another phenomenal example where that ran up and then went all the way down to like 2. Now I think it's up at like 6 or 7.
The issue with Bitcoin though is that market cap doesn't tell the story; it's price. So this one you got to go by price. Since
it's done nothing.
It's dripping over time. I keep doing the same thing in my head. I'm like, oh wow, this thing.
No, that's a good call out. Yeah,
because if you're not earning more than the average person with your like mines, then like you're losing. So if you're just trading this and holding it, you're like trading at essentially the same price or a slightly lower price.
Can you go back to the base coin?
Yeah.
And then just do a horizontal line from the left all-time high. That one.
The wick or the body?
The body. A horizontal line on the body. Yeah. And then do a measurement from that all the way to the bottom.
Local low here.
Yeah, or just like draw a line on that goes from like the center all the way to the bottom.
Hold on here. Center here?
Yeah. From like the bottom candle up to the line. Yeah, and now move that to the top of the left of the horizontal. Yep.
You're saying right here?
On top of the horizontal, right on the horizontal. Yep. And what is the market cap on that?
All right, hold on. We'll do it real quick.
Yeah, because you have like an Adam Eve pattern forming because you have the 1, 2, and then you'll go into the 3, and if you consolidate over the horizontal line, that thing's just gonna go.
Did you call it an Adam and Eve pattern?
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta tell me what's that. What is an Adam and Eve pattern?
It's like this huge thing, and then it comes back up, and then it comes back down, and then when it does, you just do the full body of the bottom.
So it's like basically a retest of all-time high after like a bleed to basically zero.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so if you're listening, Manny has just described the Adam and Eve pattern, which is then telling us we are going to run to 25 million on basis for everyone, a clean 3x. You've heard it here first. This one is interesting though.
I need to talk to Manny more often.
Yeah.
I like this guy's energy.
I love bringing new people on the show because it gives different perspective and different little tricks to like what we're talking about. I know Manny's been crushing it. I know a lot of people in the audience have made a lot of money on Menu Call, so this is one I'm going to be watching for sure.
Yeah. Do you want to hear about Nig's eczema and his recent haircut for 20 minutes, or do you want to hear Manny talk about Adam and Eve technical analysis, which I've never heard before, and honestly, I love.
Searching for Adam and Eve is tough because the first thing that comes out is like sex shops. Adam and Eve.
I mean,
yes.
There's a ton of snakes, bro. So be careful. You know what I'm saying? Don't eat any of those apples, dog.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the pattern, and I'm like, oh, okay. I could just see the pattern on the chart.
All right. So Manny, while we have you, what can you tell me if you have any thoughts on Hyperliquid? You can chart it or just talk about it.
I think it's going to go up. I think it's a really good competitor to Solana. I think it's nice that it's an EVM, and there's a ton of like early people who made a lot of money that draws parallels between like the ETH ICO and if you take that pattern, right, where a lot of people made a lot of money, like they just hold it and then they invest it into the ecosystem. I think it's important to have the Hyperliquid whales start investing in the Hyperliquid ecosystem to kind of like make sure that it continues to succeed. So I think that that's something that is kind of worth looking at, and all the right people are talking about it. I think the only thing I would be kind of worried about is that CZ buys too much, because he'll just like buy a ton, and you saw him just like take out FTX, right? Because he held so much of the FTT token. So those are kind of the signals that you have to be mindful
He owns
of.
a lot of this?
I would assume that he does.
Okay.
Like I would guess. Like I'm not gonna put it on wax that he does, but if I was him, I would.
Because one of the reasons that like sold me on this was if you look at Binance and they're the BNB token, right? And then they have the Binance Smart Chain, and that's at 90 billion. And I want to say that, interestingly enough, everybody talks about Solana and Ethereum, but the Binance Smart Chain has the most amount of DeFi volume, and I think it's multiples higher than the other two. And I just think the fact, like, I feel like Hyperliquid is almost like the potentially like the Solana to BNB in the sense of, it's like the Solana to Ethereum. Like Hyperliquid is maybe like that to BNB, where it's like a similar product, right? So it's like an exchange, but instead with Hyperliquid, it's all on chain, right? No KYC, and then they have the underlying chain. In the fact that Binance tried to fuck with Hyperliquid, where they ran up Jelly and then listed perps on Binance to short it, to try to like blow up the liquidation protocols on Hyperliquid. My thought process there was that Binance wouldn't have done that unless they thought that Hyperliquid is a threat, right? Yeah. If they had no concern about these and thought it was a joke of an idea or platform, they wouldn't even messed around with it. But like, why would you try to do something that would kind of wreck them or make them look bad optics wise? It's like going after a threat. And so to me, I was like, cool. So they're going after someone 10% of their market cap because they think they're a threat. Maybe that's just a pretty decent signal that this is a good buy.
I mean, Arbitrum too, right? Like I'd be looking at Arbitrum because the rails were kind of built at Arbitrum.
They were, yeah.
So, and
The
nobody's
only
talking
thing I
about
don't like about
Arbitrum.
Arbitrum is just that it's a pure play governance token versus with Hype, you're getting that like fee rev burn, which is why I think the BNB token has pumped so hard because Binance does the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think,
Arbitrum looking like it's trading at quite a discount too right now.
yeah, I'd be looking at maybe that as a beta play, but I like Hyperliquid. Like I'm probably gonna just get 1,000 Hyperliquid, stake it, and then forget I have it. You
I
know,
think
that's
that's
just
smart.
that's kind of my thought process on it, is like just get 1,000, stake it, and then forget you have it. And then when it gets back on my timeline and everyone's like just showing those handshake emojis through their zippers, bro, I'm like, all right, cool, it's time to get out.
I like it. I have a small hype bag. I was listening to the Modern Market yesterday, and I heard one of the first counter takes on Hyperliquid from Brett Guy. So if you're somebody who wants both sides, check out Modern Market from yesterday. That'd be Monday, the 19th. They talk about Hyperliquid. Brett has some thoughts on it. To be fair, I would imagine that Brett is somewhat biased because he is like championing Mega ETH, which is sort of a competing blockchain. But he basically talked about the mainly like the Hype team and like the difficulties they may face in scaling properly because they have such a lean team over there and a founder who he claims is not as much tech forward as some other founders. So both sides of the story.
For not being tech forward, they sure built a hell of a product.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the other thing there too with being too tech forward, right? Like you have the Microsoft Zune, like the Microsoft Zune versus the iPod, right? Like the Zune had way more technical capabilities than the Zune did. And you see that today with Androids being like basically a Batmobile, but people still rock iPhones.
Because it's just the cleaner experience.
Yeah.
Clean experiences matter. I also Mike Novogratz or whatever, who's the CEO of Galaxy, shilled Hype on CNBC.
That's all you need, bro.
Yeah, and one of his pitches, which made sense to me, is he's like the way that basically everything's setting up with like both like regulation and deregulation of crypto, opening crypto up to lots more markets. And if you look at who has the most capital in the world, right? It's a lot of older people that are very conditioned on stocks, right? And like stocks have value accrual mechanisms. And he was basically saying that these people, as things open up, are going to be more interested in products that are value, like that have like a value accrual thing that makes sense to me. Meaning like if you told someone Hype is an exchange, it's an L1 and it's a exchange that does a bunch of volume. And when it makes a bunch of revenue, it goes and it buys Hype. That's a lot easier for a multimillionaire stockholder to justify making that purchase versus like buying something else. And it's like, what are the fundamentals here? I don't know. Network effects.
Yeah.
You know? So
100%.
that kind of sold me on it well. And I've liked Hype for a while. I just didn't buy at the bottom like an idiot because of the bridging friction. But that's another interesting thing about the play to me is that you can't get it on Coinbase. You can't get it on Binance, right? It kind of reminds me of when I bought Ronin back in 2023, where it's like you had to bridge over to Ronin to be able to buy it. Like, yeah, you can buy it on Mexi and stuff like that, but my point still stands that I don't know if they eventually are, or they create their own some sort of bridge to get in. I mean, I think the biggest thing, right, is that US people can't really trade on it right now. If that kind of reminds me of Polymarket in that sense too, right? This like on-chain competitor that, people had to VPN around to use, and then they really pushed into the limelight.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I made a bet there. Just
there's a beta play coming to
what's it called?
Hyperliquid. It's called Flying Tulip. And
Kinda
that's
like
the
that
guy.
name.
That's the guy from Sonic. He's trying to make basically a Hyperliquid competitor on Sonic, and nobody's talking about Sonic. And they have their airdrop coming at the end of June, and then their next pivot is this Flying Tulip thing. So I'm gonna be hedged and have bags. Those are kind of my two bets. It's like Sonic, Flying Tulip when it comes out, and Hyperliquid.
Interesting. I know. So I just want to like rewind a bit. Kix was saying like they built such a good product from like for not having a tech forward founder. I think the product was almost like the product was rewarding the users in the way that they did. Like that was the product. The airdrop was the product. I mean, the perps platform is like been redone and reskinned for a while. It's not like their perps or anything outstanding. It was just rewarding the users in such a way, I think, that really kind of like created this army of supporters that has this flywheel effect, which I think.
Just a quick point on that, Ray. You saw that with BAYC, right? One of the best rebase NFTs to ever come out, where they set the bar so high and then they rewarded so many of their early day one people that everybody else was just a beta derivative chasing, trying to beat them. Right. So now everyone talks about like, oh, this is going to be a Hyperliquid level airdrop, right? Where they just lose so much money in their treasury that they're already like hamstrung before they can even launch. And then the people are like, oh, I'm just going to go back to Hyperliquid once I farm it, because it's all just mercenary liquidity, just kind of coming in, trying to extract max value, dump their bags and dip, where nobody was trying to do that on Hyperliquid. And if they were, like, they made so much money that they're like, yeah, I'll keep some here.
Yeah, I think we saw that. I mean, I think the Hyperliquid like Milady derivative is like crazy high, multiple ETH for that one. Are you either of you doing anything on Hyperliquid or just holding spot? Like, are you trading meme coins?
Right now, I just bought spot, but I am interested in actually like putting some money in a hot wallet and playing around with like trading. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
I haven't done too much over there. I've done some swapping. I think day one we shared this with Bodoggos. Somebody mentioned in the crowd, but the Buddy meme coin on Hype, just to do some like meme coin trading over there. This is one that we bought pretty early. I'm completely out of this now, but this one was a cooker at 7 mil. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of a meme coin spillover on Hyperliquid. I like brought up the volume on Dex Screener to see like what's really getting volume.
Well, Kix mentioned it, right? You have to bridge and then you have to move over. It's high friction. And right now everyone's like, oh, I could just like buy Sol meme coins through my app with Apple Pay, right? So it's just still too high friction to get like that mercenary liquidity that comes over, and it's like the lotto scratcher people, right? Where right now you're just kind of like waiting for those people for the friction to get reduced enough for those people to kind of spill over. But right now it's just like all of the people who made early bags who are just kind of there trying to find anything that like is organic enough that they can run up.
Yeah, basically when there's like a massive meme coin season on Hype, you're way too late probably to at least buying Hype, right? Because that's probably an effect that happens after this thing is $30 billion, right? Or $40 billion. And then there's that much more liquidity and people want to go mania on it.
Interesting. Some potential alpha from eBrink in the crowd. Deposit Bitcoin, Sol, Ethereum, Farcoin, etc. to Hyperliquid via HyperUnit. HyperUnit is a separate team that will likely have a token. I haven't used it. DYOR, but just highlighting that from eBrink in the crowd if you're looking to get on the Hyperliquid potentially in an easier manner than I believe what I had to do was bridge to Arbitrum, deposit into Hyperliquid, and then withdrawal to Hyper EVM from Hyperliquid is like a 3 or 4 step process as opposed to like a standard like 1-step bridge, which you can do between like Bitcoin, Sol, EVM via like a simple swap or something like that. Yeah. Wow. 10:20. We've been at it today, boys. Anything else you guys want to cover before we wrap up? What's been a pretty awesome show, I think, filled with a lot of alpha.
Dude, it was a great yappy hour, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. I love you guys, and just happy to be here, bro.
Yeah, follow Manny. I'm going to make sure I slide into your DMs a little bit more often and just see what you're thinking about, because I really love your take and perspective.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not following Manny, what are you doing? Follow Manny at MannyV_Sol on X. Thanks again, Manny. Big shout out, helping us out while the boys are away in London. We got to get you on here more often to talk thesis. We got a different point of view. Love to have it. Thank you all for joining us today on another wonderful podcast. It's been a great Tuesday. You can catch us every weekday on every major podcasting platform. Spotify, Apple. Watch us back on YouTube. You can see what we're talking about in real time. See Manny describe the Adam and Eve pattern and me jump through it on the screen live. Thank you all for